start us off, please.
Yeah, Jerry. Before we ask you about the status of Zach Martin and some other things, can you start with a big picture of, you really have been reluctant to call this team a Super Bowl contender over the last decade or so, but after these back-to-back winning seasons and what you've done, do you believe this team is best positioned to contend for a Super Bowl in a long time?
Well, I certainly think and came to camp with the idea in mind that if we can have the kind of camp we want to have, that we've got a team that can compete for the top spot. And that's, I don't want to understate that for sure. There's a lot of work to be done because we're going to play a lot of young players. But I think that when you weigh it, you weigh where we've evolved over the last 2 or 3 years with our defense. You look at some of the talent we've got, look at Dak. When I look at all those things, I think we've got a chance to be a contender.
Clarence?
Getting back to Zach Martin, do you expect him to be here? Where are you guys at that negotiation? And were you surprised he's taking this stance?
I'm just not going to discuss anything about any of our players' agreements, but we certainly have great communication with, frankly, everybody. And so not necessarily any surprises at all, but we won't be discussing any of the football business aspect of this thing with any public comments.
I'm sorry, Clarence, on the 4-Star Telegram, I didn't do that first.
I appreciate that, Clarence.
I don't want to get in trouble. But do you expect him to be here for the start of camp? Can you at least say that?
Again, I don't want to get into, I don't know that my expectations, I know that would give you some indication, but we've got everything as we start camp today and where we are, there are no nothing to concern me about anything to do we're doing with the contractual situations.
We got Pat.
Mike, Pat Downey with NBC5. Can you talk about just how good of a player Zach Martin is and what he provides to this team and what you've seen over the last few years?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, nothing's changed as far as how we feel about Dak and the love that we have, or excuse me, Zach. Apologize, but no, I mean he's a great player. He's one of our team leaders, and there's nothing but love for him, and so that part hasn't changed. I think, as Jerry's already addressed it, I mean this is a business situation, and that's where it is.
John
Michaud, The Athletic. Jerry, why do you think that you guys weren't able to get something done with Tony Pollard, and why is maybe the franchise tag work best for him in that running back position?
Well, actually, I think the franchise tag, when I think of it, probably fit that situation really well. So I think it does its job. When I look at the entire team and the makeup of what you have to do with the allocated dollars that you've got, it's a distribution process. If one player gets $1, the other one doesn't get it. And so you distribute it as best you can. And in this particular case, I think it worked well for Tony. That's a lot of money. And I think it's going to help make it work for us to put this team together this year.
Todd.
Jerry, Todd Archer with ESPN. Your thoughts on the new ownership group in Washington and what they'll mean to the league?
The group is outstanding. Josh is very competent. They've passed every test as far as they want to. They want to win, and they want to build a great franchise when they've put it on the line the way they have. It's an outstanding group. It is really an exemplary way of putting together the financial aspect of buying a team, and they've got a lot of interested people through their investment, but they made their investment because they were fans either of the Washington team, or they were fans of sport or football. So it's to me, it's a great way to put an ownership structure together for the NFL. They particularly, I don't want to slight the individual qualifications of everybody involved there, and so they'll be a formidable group, and I'm proud for the fans of Washington.
Pat.
Jerry, it seems like the last few years, you all have really stressed younger players, and you mentioned younger players being a big part of this roster. But does it feel like maybe there was a little bit more of an all-in feel this offseason with the additions specifically of Gilmore and Cooks, that you really went out to try to bring in some big stars to build upon what you've had the last few years?
Well, I like the way Steven says it when he says putting a roster together is not only a year-round, 24-hour-a-day job, but it comes from a lot of different directions. Not only the occurrence of when you can make those decisions and the time of the year, whether it's the draft, whether it's free agency, whether it's at training camp. We brought in our returner Turpin last year at training camp. We brought in our safety at training camp. So if you really look at it, it never stops. It's evolving. You got to look at it all the time. That's what we're into. And the good news is that to help to the roster, help to win a game, comes from all of those areas, not just the first-round draft pick or just the really notable free agent. It comes from across the board. It takes a lot of people to play this game. That's reflected in how the talent gets put together. To me, I'm really proud of the way that we put this roster together. Now, all of that has to result in first downs and touchdowns.
Back to David.
Mike, how do you feel with where you are, what you've been able to establish with the culture here since you've been here, and just from the talent perspective on both sides of the ball and special teams? Where do you feel you are going into this season from where you projected or wanted to be at this stage?
I mean, to give you a comparable, I think it's definitely the best of the 4 years. I think that, when you just building up what Jerry talked about with the draft and younger players and the development in how we're able to integrate our young players. We played, I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm sure we're up there 1 or 2 in the league is playing young players the last particularly 2 to 3 years. So, so that part is I feel really strong about, because I've always felt that bridging the gap between the veteran players and the younger players is critical in your opportunity that you're building towards winning a championship. So, and this is such a perfect time of year for us, because this is the purest football opportunity that we'll have as a football team, and we have an incredible training facility to have it in. So, but no, I feel great about our culture. I had a chance to have dinner last night with the leadership council, and just so impressed with our leadership group in the veteran, just the things that that's on their mind and where they are, and just really not only the respect they have for one another across the ball, offense and defense, but really the love that they have in a connection or they have with the rookie class. And they told me they felt this was the best rookie class of the last 3, and I kind of laughed because I said, well, you said that last year too. So I mean, so I think that's a pretty good indicator of how they feel about the locker room culture. So I feel like it's very strong.
Nick.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. This question's for Coach McCarthy. Are there anybody that you expect to start camp on the PUP list? And if so,
well, we're having a mobility workout right now that's going on. So once all the information comes in, we'll get that figured out.
Ed.
Ed Werder, ESPN. I have a question for Mike, but start with Jerry. Jerry, what was the evolution of the process of deciding that Mike would be calling his own play, something that in recent history the head coach has not done here?
You've got a couple of assumptions in that question, which is, okay, it has to do with Mike. Mike not only has the head coaching, I'm going to call it the walk-around head coaching skills, the overall management attribute, and the experience to go with it. but he also is very apt at the really right into the area of the quarterback, the offense, the blocking schemes, and we're just at a point as we have evolved, and I think we have evolved over the last 2 or 3 years, that it was not so much about what Kellen wasn't, it was about what Mike is. And so I think that we gain on it. I think we give ourselves a better chance if Mike has that kind of emphasis. I'm going to let him explain to you what that kind of emphasis is, not me, since he's sitting right here. But the point is that it was just an asset that we had that we needed to use, that frankly, when he initially joined the Cowboys, it looked better for Kellen to be involved more in those areas, but it has evolved to this particular point. So it was really something that I know I felt, Stephen felt, we all felt would improve our chances to win this year.
Can I follow up with the
Sure.
Given that role you now have and the changes you're making on offense, how does that affect how you'll rep guys out here and how you might use them in preseason games?
How we'll rep the players and use them in preseason?
Use them any differently to get them more comfortable with what you're doing?
I don't. It's to me, it's different every year. It's because you have changes in your personnel. There's goals that you're trying to hit throughout training camp. Obviously we're going to be in an install phase for the first 9 practice days. So we need to go through that, because that's really the foundation of your menus that you carry into the season. But I would say how we start preparing for Jacksonville and the preseason games, that will be a little different, because anytime you make a change in the play caller or the coordinator, it's just going to be different. I mean, it's if you look at our time here, 2020. We went about it a certain way offensively, but we had a philosophy shift after 2020. We needed to run the ball more. So 21 and 22 to me is the vision of how I see the offense playing. So it's important for us to build off of what we accomplished the last 2 years. But our personnel is a little different too. So you got to factor that in. I don't think it's going to play differently in how we rep them, because just how camp goes too factors into that. So I mean, how much is Tyron Smith going to practice? So I mean, there's so many variables in that. So to give you an answer of how it's going to be different, to me, it's always different each year.
Hi, Haley Sutton, DallasCowboys.com. In terms of that running back position, is there something that you're looking for with the group that you have in that position to fill the Ezekiel Elliott role, or are you just kind of looking to see who stands out most?
No, I don't look at them trying to fill Zeke's role. I mean Zeke's a special football player. I mean, he's a primary ball distribution focal point for us, and long before I got here, and definitely the last 3 years. So how those opportunities are distributed, we'll answer that as we get into the games. So yeah, this is not a this guy gets Zeke's touches. That's not the format. It's really how we're going to utilize the whole perimeter group.
Patrick.
Gentlemen, Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. This question is for all three, but primarily Jerry and Steven personnel guys. From a kicker competition standpoint, you guys brought back this guy, you signed Aubrey. Are you guys looking to add a third body to that, or are you going to play it more like last year, where you had Garrett Bay and Hodger going against each other, and then you brought in Maher when you didn't like all that competition?
Yeah. Okay, I got it. I'm having a little trouble hearing you there. All options are open. I think what we've got in camp has the potential to be the answer. And so it's not something that we're waiting on every day to try to come up with something additive there. Let's see what we got. Let's see how they practice. Let's see how we get comfortable with what they're doing. So what you see is the adjustment that would have been the answer to if we'd have been sitting here at the end of last season saying, we're going to relook at this kicker situation. Well, you're looking at it. And then what comes up, we will see. Now, competition's competition, and if all of a sudden we see some true competition, which means we see a way to do it better, then we'll go that route. It's that fluid right now.
Before we start telling them, I've got a question for Mike and Jerry. First, Jerry, we talk about a sense of urgency every year. It's 28 years since last Super Bowl. Where's your sense of urgency now?
Well, did you ask where is this urgency coming from?
Yours to win now?
Yeah. There's too much that you have to put out here, and it really always has been. There was a sense of urgency in 1989, my reference point of just having gotten to be a part of the NFL and be a part of the Cowboys. But I've never thought there was time to slough off, and not that urgency means not sloughing off, but I think that when I look at where we are with Dak, when I look at where we are with Tyron Smith, when I see and what I've experienced on players that have played great for the Cowboys that aren't here today, we need to get it done now while we got them. And I think that's healthy for everybody. I think that's the way my competition is structured. My competition, the Cowboys competition. And so that causes you to really pop up in the morning and be ready to gnaw a leg off. And I think that's in and of itself. I've often said that just getting to be a part of this thing, the NFL, the Cowboys, be around these guys, be around you. I've often said that made me something I wouldn't have been had I not been here. I might not have been as aggressive or as urgent. So I'm very urgent. And if aggressive is a part of that, that's a part of it. And I am proud that I'm as excited and got the health to be that way.
Mike, you told us before that the way to break through in the playoffs is to repeatedly get there. You got there the past 2 years. Is this team primed to break through this year?
Breakthrough is.
Take the next step in the playoffs.
Definitely. I mean, we all think so. Yeah. I mean, I feel really good about where we are. But at the end of the day, not to do the coach speak drill here. I mean, it's just not. It is a process. I mean, training camp's very important. We love what we accomplished in player acquisition throughout the spring, and more importantly, now that these guys have been here, the way they fit in. I can't say enough about Brandon and Gilmore. The way I'm just visiting with those guys yesterday. So. It's the consistency is, if you want to bang the door down, you got to be on the front porch, every single time. So I think we definitely have established that, and it's about winning the championship. And I don't shy away from that at all. And everybody today should feel that they can win the championship. They may not talk about it, but we feel very strongly about who we are as a team, and we look forward to all the challenges and the adversity that's going to come. Every year it comes at you a little different. Patterns sometimes are the same. But that's what it takes to win in this league, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, urgency is always there. I can't believe how fast it's gone. I can't believe this is year 4 already, and I think it's just the reality of it is how important every day is. How important every opportunity is. And this, as I said already, this is the purest opportunity for us, purest football opportunity that we have of the year. And our training camp in 21 was good. 22 was better. Our goal is to have a better camp than last year, and last year was a hell of a camp. This weather's important. These facilities are outstanding. I mean, we're making improvements. So you talk about urgency. Just look at the efficiency and how this operation has improved each and every year. I know since I've been here, and that's all about getting better. So and our players see that and they feel that. And they trust our process. They trust the way they're trained, and that just gives us more consistency in the area of performance. So yeah, I feel great about our football team.
Let me add this. All you got to do is look at the people who aren't here, whether players, coaches, GMs, owners. All you got to do is look back for me over 30-something years and add up the ones that aren't here. And that'll make you feel lucky to get to be here. and there have been some great people come through here, and they've had some great lives of being a part of this thing. But if that doesn't make you count your be thankful for being able to be here and wake up and be here to Oxnard and be a part of this camp and getting better and opening up against the Giants, nothing will. And it's a motivational thing.
Mike.
Mike Leslie, WFA, for Jerry as well as Steven. Your team has been one of a few teams at the center of a conversation about the running back position over the course of this offseason, deciding to move on from Zeke Elliott's contract, not signing Tony Pollard to a long-term deal, keeping him on franchise tag. Where do you feel the running back position is right now in this league in terms of how it is valued, and how has your opinion on how to value the position changed in the last 3 or 4 years?
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Well, I think first of all, our league evolves, and Mike and I were just talking about it, in the room before we came out here, and this is a quarterback-driven league now, and obviously throwing the ball is a big part of this game. You get down to the 2-minute, you got to be able to throw the ball. It used to be 20 years ago, it was revolved around a running back. The running back may have been more important than the quarterback. Obviously, this franchise has had some of the best running backs, in the league. When you look at Tony Dorsett, you look at Emmitt Smith, you look at Zeke Elliott. We've had, great running backs here and great respect for that position. I will say this about Tony. We offered Tony a long-term deal. The same holds true for tight end. We offered Schultz a long-term deal, and we didn't agree. The reason you don't agree is they want more and you want to pay a little bit less, and you agree to disagree, and then they go on and they play under the tag. That's obviously Tony signed his tag, and he's going to do that, and certainly Dalton Schultz made that decision, and that's part of the negotiation and part of the system that's in place. It's a free market out there. There are mechanisms in place that allow teams to hold a player a year called the franchise tag, and we certainly utilize that, but nothing but respect for the running backs. We've had, as I said, we've had some of the great ones and paid them at the top of the market, and certainly we tried to make a deal with Tony. It wasn't something that worked for either one of us, so we're going to play under the tag this year and respect that, and we'll see where we end up going forward. I don't think he can hear you.
Excuse me, I'm having
A little louder.
Have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add there. I think Stephen said it best. We lost a few years back. We lost a running back. He went to Tennessee, I think.
Yeah.
But my point is that you have to. There's no free lunch. You have to weigh the impact to the team on every decision that you make, and the system will cause it to evolve. And the system has gotten more relative to the budgets that you have. It's gotten more quarterback friendly and less running back friendly. That isn't just the Cowboys, that's the game as it is today. That's what you get into. I've never met any player at any level when it comes to the finances that wasn't happy when he looks back that he took the money. I've never met one. And when he looks back on what that meant relative to everything else, we're all fortunate to be a part of this game. And so my point is, it has to have a system that you can put a team and maintain a team. And those are the systems that are in place in the NFL.
Joe.
Joe Trahan, WFAA TV. Jerry, this one's for you. You're coming off this back-to-back success, the kind of which you haven't seen in 27 years. But I think you would probably agree that the NFL is a more year-to-year proposition than it's been in several years. So as the head of this organization, how do you make sure that everyone below you understands that so that you don't miss out on this prime opportunity that you have in front of you?
Well, what you usually hear me say, especially on opening day like this, philosophizing a little bit, what you usually hear me say is alive and well. These guys get real tired, especially this one right here, of me getting in that ear and going over some of these concepts that we're talking about right here. I'd like to think that they would tell you that I'm real good about hearing their concepts coming back, and will be pretty patient and be pretty receptive to their concepts coming back too. And so that's what makes it work. You mentioned one thing, but I really believe this, whether I act like it or not. I don't believe anybody's under me. We're all laying the best we've got. We're all emptying our bucket. And so all we have to give is what's in our bucket. Now, some people have it in an intellectual way. Some people have it in a physical way. Some people may have it in a financial way. As long as everybody's emptying their bucket, we're all equal. It's all we got is what's in our bucket.
How do you emphasize to them that it has to happen every day?
Well, I think that a part of the advantage of doing what we get to do is that it's sports. It's football. We all had, you did, we all had a choice to go sell insurance, or we all had a choice to go build houses, or we all had a choice to do some other things. We've really chosen, and that's our brotherhood, we've chosen to spend our life in the excitement and the conversation and rubbing elbows with Mike McCarthy and rubbing elbows with Stephen and people like that. We've chosen that. I've been old enough that I've had a couple of other areas that I got to spend some time in, a couple of other lives, if you will. I like this one right here. This is the one I chose and one I like. That's why it's great to be with you guys today.
All right, last two. David?
Stephen, do you like, and a quick follow-up after that, Stephen, do you like where you are from a cap management standpoint for the intermediate right now and for what you need to do going into the future? And do you feel ideally you would like to get one of these long-term deals done going into the season to kind of keep that leverage?
Yeah, I actually feel really good about where we are, not only in the intermediate, but also the long term. I think our contracts are all structured in a good way, and we're very motivated to sign these young guys. That's certainly why you hope to have success, and I think we have had success drafting, in terms of the young players that we got coming up, whether it's a Diggs or a Lamb or a Micah or a Steele or whoever may be coming up. And we're constantly in communication. I feel like we've got great rapport with agents. I don't think we're, and the representatives. I think we're always in communication with them. Certainly, all these guys are represented because the money is so big by top-of-the-line folks. And so you just continue to grind and look for windows and opportunities to get these things done. As I mentioned, there's only one franchise tag. And you only get to use it on one guy. And then, the market decides the rest. But certainly it'd be a big plus if we could look up here and get one or two of these guys signed to longer term deals. And we've always got our eye on the ball and what that's going to mean, and projecting out what we think the cap's going to be. I mean, we keep constant salary cap sheets going out 3 years, this year plus 2 more, and what that's going to look like and what that's going to feel like. But overall, I think we're in a great situation, and certainly that can change if the great opportunity presents itself. We certainly had some opportunities this year to trade for a Gilmore and a Cooks, and on things that were team friendly, not only from a resource standpoint, a draft pick standpoint, but a cap standpoint as well. And we were able to get those deals done, and you make exceptions. And that's why you have your cap in a situation so that you can say, okay, we're going to do that. This is the right thing to do, and may compromise us a year from now, 2 years from now, but that's the right thing to do for this team this year, is to go out, and add guys like a Gilmore, like a Cooks, and give us the opportunity to really improve our football team.
Kind of going on your last answer, that you touched on this a little bit, but we know you probably have about 20 more training camps left in you, but are you getting a little more sentimental as each year passes when you're here, because you just what this experience is, and like you say, who you get to deal with, and those relations, and just seeing it kind of build?
Yeah, yes. I appreciate the nuance of driving in and getting my room out here. I think this is about 10, 11 years in that room. It looks less than my college dorm at the time, but it feels good to be in there. Now I go out the back door and sleep up here at the Biltmore, but other than that, we're in good shape.
That's a fine.
Out the back door.
Y'all are great.
Oh, before we head to the last question, I just want to say a word to a long time, really part of the fabric of our media and the Cowboys, Brad Sham. Brad Sham has had a heck of an offseason, including recently, for a number of different things and ways. And I just want to say it's great to have you here, and glad that you have gotten through just a heck of a process. And we're happy that you're okay and you're here. Thank you, Brad. Yeah.
Me too.
All righty, Todd. No? Well, Clarence, you have the privilege of wrapping it up here, buddy.
I hate to be that guy to ask a football question. Have you decided, this for Mike, how do you plan to start an offensive line, start camp? Will Tyler be a guard? Will he be a left tackle? What is the plan up front?
Well, we're going to build off what we did in the off-season program. So we'll start the way we finished. Were you paying attention the last time you were out there? All right. Well, look at your notes. So that's how we're going to start. That's how we're going to start. So.
All righty. Thank you, everybody, and we'll meet media in the back tent.